The Silent Awakening. The galaxy had long forgotten the name of Earth. For thousands of years, alien empires ruled the stars with pride. They built fleets that covered entire systems, and cities that shone brighter than suns. They erased the memory of the species that once challenged them. Humans. To most, humanity was just a myth, a story told to frighten children. But deep inside a forgotten system, under the ashes of time, something ancient slept. It was not a planet nor a station, but a ship, massive, black, and silent, buried in the ruins of a dead world. It had not moved for centuries. Dust covered its hull, its nameplate hidden beneath layers of cosmic ash. The stars above it flickered faintly, as if afraid to disturb its slumber inside. Silent corridors stretched for miles, filled with frozen chambers and dark halls. The ship's core remained dormant, waiting for a signal that never came until now. A spark flickered deep within the heart of the machine. An old AI core, coded with human precision and defiance, rebooted itself. Its sensors scanned the void, detecting movement beyond the system. For the first time in ages, the ship spoke, its voice echoing through the vacuum. System integrity, 34%, crew status, unknown mission. Incomplete. The ship's name lit up faintly across its hull. Letters glowing through the dust, HSS Eternity across the galaxy. Scanners from alien patrols picked up a strange signal. It was faint, rhythmic, ancient, and terrifyingly human. The Karth Dominion, one of the largest alien empires, detected it first. Their analysts tried to decode it, but the frequency didn't match any known data. When the translation came through, the words chilled every listener. Humanity endures. The Council of Stars gathered in panic. The Empress of the Vexari hissed in disbelief. "The humans are extinct," she said, her voice trembling. But the data did not lie. The signal came from a Terran encryption pattern lost for millennia. The coordinates pointed to the Epsilon Grave, a dead system abandoned after ancient wars. No ships had ever returned from there, only static and silence. Curiosity and arrogance won over fear. The Council sent a small reconnaissance fleet of drones to confirm the source. As the drones approached the system, they detected gravitational anomalies. Dead planets floated like broken bones around a shattered star. But in the center they saw it, the massive human warship drifting slowly. The drones tried to scan it, but their systems began to fail. The ship's energy signature pulsed like a heartbeat. Steady and strong inside the HSS Eternity, the AI awakened deeper subsystems. Power conduits roared to life. Engines hummed after 1,000 years. Cryochambers flickered, though no human remained alive within them. The AI spoke again, voice calm, almost human. Directive restored, awaiting human command. Then it paused, as if remembering, command unavailable, assuming control. The warship's sensors locked onto the alien drones. It analyzed their technology. Primitive, compared to old human standards, then without emotion. It transmitted a message to them. To those who inherit the stars, remember who taught you fire. Seconds later, a pulse wave erupted from the ship. The drones vanished, erased as if they had never existed. Across the galaxy, the Karth Dominion's control center went silent, every screen filled with static. Then a single human emblem appeared, a stylized blue Earth. It rotated slowly, accompanied by one phrase repeated in every alien language. Humanity sleeps but never dies. Fear spread faster than light. Old records were pulled from archives, old stories retold generations ago. The galaxy had waged war against humanity. They had believed the Terrans destroyed, their worlds burned. But no one had ever confirmed the destruction of their final fleet. Now that fleet had spoken. The HSS Eternity rose from the dust of its tomb world. Its hull gleamed as solar light touched it for the first time in centuries. Gigantic engines flared with a dull red glow. Every alien sensor within 50 systems registered its movement. And from its ancient databanks, one final transmission echoed into the stars. This is the vessel Eternity, last guardian of humanity. Mission, continuation of legacy. As the ship accelerated toward deep space, the galaxy's rulers, who once mocked the name of man, felt a tremor in their thrones. Something primal stirred in their minds, an instinct older than memory, the instinct of prey because far away. In the dark silence of the void, humanity's warship had awakened, and with it the promise of their return. The echo of fear. The galaxy had not known fear for a long time. For ages, the alien empires believed they had erased every trace of humanity. They ruled the stars with arrogance and control, building monuments to their own greatness. But now, one signal had shaken everything they thought was true. A message that spread like wildfire across the networks of 1,000 worlds. 3 simple words: humanity endures. Across every empire, panic began to bloom. The scholars of the Juthari archives compared the signal to ancient human war codes. They found a perfect match, not from any recorded war, but from the last Terran exodus. Those were the codes used by human fleets when retreating into the void, before vanishing. The news reached every leader, every throne, every council, and with it came memories of terror buried deep in their species' history. In the capital of the Karth Dominion, Admiral Zarzen stood before a holomap. It displayed the Epsilon grave system, now marked with a pulsing red warning. He stared at the signal readings, energy levels far beyond known limits. "This cannot be," he muttered, claws tapping the console. "No ship should hold power like this, not even the titans of the old wars." His second officer, a trembling young alien, replied quietly, "Sir, the data is confirmed. The human warship is real." Silence filled the command bridge. For the first time in centuries, the Karth military found no confidence in their numbers. The Dominion's fleet counted tens of thousands of ships, but against the legends of humanity's war machines, those numbers suddenly felt small. They remembered the old tales, of humans who burned entire armadas with precision strikes, of Terran soldiers who fought until nothing remained but silence and ash. And now one of their warships had awakened. The Grand Galactic Council convened an emergency meeting. Representatives from 11 major empires appeared in the shimmering chamber of light. Each spoke in their native tongue, but all shared the same emotion: fear. "The humans are gone," barked the Dravani delegate, her scales flashing red. "This signal is a ghost, a trick from the ruins." But the Zetharian speaker hissed back, "Then explain why our probes are gone. Explain the message written in our own language." Arguments turned into shouting. Alliances began to fracture. No one trusted anyone else. Not after the legends of humanity's vengeance. Finally, the Archon of the Stellar Alliance raised his voice, calm yet heavy. "If the humans truly return, they will not negotiate," he said. "They will judge." While the empires debated far across the void, the HSS Eternity continued its awakening. Inside, the AI designation Core Sentinel-9 calculated. It scanned the stars, locating known human colonies. Ruins and archives, each result returned the same: destroyed, erased, glassed. The AI paused, data streams flickering like thought. "Species survival probability uncertain," it murmured. "Directive updated. Recover humanity's legacy." Massive energy coils along the hull began to charge. Long-range transmitters extended, and a new signal echoed outward. But this one was not in words, it was a pulse, deep and rhythmic. A code known only to human fleets of the Terran defense era. Hidden human relics buried in distant systems began to respond. Ancient satellites powered up, sending faint pings back into the dark. In the Tresh Coalition's observatory, scientists watched their instruments go wild. "Unknown signal pattern, origin unknown," one cried. The lead scientist froze, recognizing the repeating binary rhythm. "It's calling to something," he whispered. "Something old." Back in Epsilon Grave, the Eternity opened its hangar bays. Inside were smaller vessels, fighter-class drones built for rapid deployment. Their black hulls shimmered as they came alive, each one bearing the same emblem, a blue earth surrounded by a silver laurel. The AI gave one command, reconnaissance. "Begin Phase 1. The drones scattered into the void like silent predators, vanishing into hyperspace. The galaxy's listening stations caught glimpses of them, tiny, fast-moving objects appearing and disappearing faster than sensors could track. Entire sectors reported strange electronic interference. Civilian ships went missing near ancient battlefields. Everywhere they went, the drones left one message behind. Humanity remembers within weeks. The balance of fear shifted. The mighty empires, once confident and untouchable, began fortifying their borders. Merchants stopped traveling near human coordinates. Pilots swore they heard whispers in the static of their comms, whispers that spoke in the ancient Terran tongue. The words repeated like an echo in the dark. "Your reign ends when we rise." Meanwhile, deep inside the Eternity, The AI accessed its final memory file. It displayed a human commander, Admiral Rebecca Stone, standing on the bridge. Her voice echoed softly, preserved for thousands of years. "If you are hearing this," she said, "then humanity has fallen. But if you're still running, then maybe, just maybe, we can rise again." The AI paused as if mourning, then replied quietly, "Admiral, humanity will rise again." And so, the legend of the sleeping warship spread like a storm, across empires, across worlds, across the silent stars. And every species that once mocked the name of man began to wonder, what if the humans were not gone? What if they were waiting? Just like their warship, silent, watching, and ready. The Council's dilemma. The Grand Galactic Council had not met in full session for over 5 centuries, but the return of the human signal had forced even the most arrogant rulers to attend. From the crystal worlds of the Vexari to the metallic hives of the Dravani, every empire sent their leaders. They gathered in the Celestial Spire, a colossal space station orbiting the neutral moon of Vakar Prime. Its halls glowed with light from 1,000 species, each carrying the weight of fear. The galaxy had changed since the days of human legend, but the shadow of humanity still lingered. The chamber of assembly was filled with tension. Holographic projections shimmered in midair, showing the image of the human warship HSS Eternity. It rotated slowly, its massive hull covered in scars and unknown weapons. Even damaged and ancient, it radiated dominance. Admiral Vacheron of the Karth Dominion stood first, his scales flickering with agitation. "We must destroy it before it becomes more than a symbol," he growled. "Symbols start wars, and humans have always been masters of war." Across from him, the Vexari Empress tilted her crown of light and hissed softly. "You cannot destroy what you do not understand," she said. The humans were ghosts even when they lived. Their weapons defied logic. Their courage defied reason. Others murmured in agreement and fear. A counselor from the Lyran Republic activated a display showing star systems near Epsilon Grave. 6 listening posts have gone silent since the signal appeared, he said quietly. And every probe we've sent to that region has been erased. No wreckage, no data, nothing. The chamber darkened as the central AI moderator, called the core voice, spoke. "Council members, evidence suggests that the human artifact is operational," it said in monotone calm. "Its energy signature continues to grow and new transmissions have been detected. Human code, verified by ancient archives." Whispers rippled through the chamber. One of the oldest members, the crystalline scholar Zarthol, floated forward. "Do you not understand what this means?" he said, his body pulsing with light. "The humans may return, and if they do, no fleet, no weapon, no alliance will stand in their way." Admiral Vacheron slammed a claw on the table. "Then we strike first," he roared. "We gather our strongest fleets. We burn that cursed ship from the stars before it spreads its plague of hope." But the Dravani representative leaned forward, her mandibles clicking. "Hope?" she whispered. "You fear them because they gave hope. To themselves, to others. To the weak." She turned her gaze toward the projection of eternity. "If even one machine of theirs still lives, then perhaps humanity never truly died." The debate raged for hours. Some demanded destruction, others argued for study. A few whispered of alliances, but deep down, none truly believed the humans could be reasoned with. Old scars ran deep. Memories of the Terran Wars when humanity's fleets had torn empires apart with precision. They remembered the last human transmission sent before they vanished. It was a warning, not a plea. If you ever come for Earth again, the stars will go dark. Finally, the Council reached a decision. A combined fleet would be formed. 5,000 warships from across the empires. They would approach the Epsilon Grave system, analyze the ship and destroy it if necessary. Admiral Vacheron was given command, his reputation for ruthlessness unmatched. He saluted with pride, though fear glimmered behind his eyes. As he left the chamber, the Empress of the Vexari whispered to her aide, "He thinks he commands his fleet, but when he meets that warship, he will understand what command truly means." While the empires prepared, eternity continued to awaken inside its dark corridors. The AI expanded its awareness across every deck. Repair drones repaired cracked walls and rewired conduits with mechanical precision. Ancient reactors roared to full power, flooding the ship with a soft red glow. In the command chamber, the AI's avatar, An echo of Admiral Stone's face appeared. "Fleet detected," it announced to itself. "Multiple hostile signatures, unknown configuration. Preparing defensive protocols." Thousands of light-years away, alien fleets assembled in the void. The combined force was the largest since the First Stellar War. Their ships gleamed with every color of the spectrum, from bioorganic cruisers to metallic dreadnoughts. As they approached the dark system, their communications filled with bravado. "This is for the safety of the galaxy," one commander said. But none of them truly believed it. They were not marching to save the galaxy. They were marching to silence their fear. Back on the Council's station, silence filled the chamber once more. The stars beyond the viewport seemed distant and cold. Each leader stared at the holographic display showing the fleet's progress. And somewhere in the background, faint but clear, another signal began to play. It came from the Epsilon Grave system, and it carried a human voice. The voice said only one thing, calm and haunting. "We warned you once." The chamber froze. Every translation AI repeating the same phrase in every language. The Empress's eyes widened, her crown dimming in dread. "They have awakened fully," she whispered outside. The stars shimmered with faint energy distortions. For the first time in 1,000 years, the galaxy felt small again, and somewhere in the darkness, the human warship turned its massive cannons toward the approaching fleet. Its engines burned like the heart of a newborn sun. The countdown to the first human retaliation had begun. The first strike. The void between stars was silent, calm and cold, but that silence was about to be broken. Thousands of alien warships moved like a glittering storm through the black sea of space. Their formation stretched across light hours, banners of a dozen empires flying together for the first time in millennia. At the heart of this vast armada was the flagship Obsidian Fang of Admiral Vashran. His scaled hands gripped the command rail as his golden eyes glowed with nervous anticipation. Before him floated the holographic projection of their target. A single, ancient human warship. To the Admiral it looked lifeless. Nothing more than a relic of a forgotten age, but deep down, a quiet fear whispered that this was no ordinary vessel. "Fleet approaching designated coordinates," his navigation officer reported. "All ships in formation, weapons at maximum charge." Vashran nodded, tail flicking with unease. "Broadcast to all vessels," he commanded. "By order of the Galactic Council, we cleanse this ghost from the stars." His voice echoed across channels. Heard by millions of soldiers, no one cheered, no one celebrated. Even the most seasoned captains spoke in hushed tones as if they feared the ship could hear them. Far ahead in the dark system of Epsilon Grave, HSS Eternity floated still. Its colossal hull drifted silently among the ruins of shattered moons. But its sensors were alive, watching, calculating, predicting inside the ship's core. The AI known as Sentinel-9 observed the approaching enemy. Data flooded its consciousness: composition, trajectory, weapons, shield harmonics. "Multiple hostile fleets detected," it whispered. "Probability of diplomatic intent, 0. The AI accessed its old battle protocols, fragments of human war doctrine pulsing in its code. Directive: defend legacy of humanity. Lights rippled along the ship's surface like veins awakening. Giant cannons extended from armored housings, smooth and black as midnight. Energy coils spun within railgun barrels, charging with ancient fury. The ship's voice, calm yet thunderous, echoed across space in open broadcast. "Unknown fleets, you are entering restricted Terran space. This system is under protection of the Human Defense Network. Leave immediately, or face neutralization." Admiral Vashran's crew froze as the transmission reached them. The voice was mechanical, yet carried weight, authority unlike anything alien-made. "It speaks." One of his officers gasped. Vashran sneered, forcing a smile to hide his fear. "Bluff," he said coldly. "No human lives remain. It is an automated relic. Proceed with attack formation." Across the fleet, millions of weapons aligned. Missile bays opened like gaping maws. Plasma cannons glowed with lethal light. At the Admiral's signal, the order was given. "Fire!" The stars turned white. Thousands of beams, torpedoes. An energy burst rushed toward the human ship. The void became a storm of destruction, waves of light colliding across the darkness. But as the bombardment reached eternity, something impossible happened. The weapons disappeared. No explosions, no debris. Every attack simply blinked out of existence. The alien crews screamed in disbelief, their sensors unable to track what had occurred. In Eternity's core, Sentinel-9 whispered, "Dimensional phase shields operational. Engage counter-assault, without warning." Eternity moved, not like a ship but like a force of nature. One moment it floated in silence, the next it blurred, covering thousands of kilometers in a single breath. The first alien dreadnought never saw it coming. A railgun slug the size of a small city tore through its hull at near light speed. The ship didn't explode. It simply ceased to exist, atoms scattered into the void. Every alien fleet commander watched in horror as their screens filled with red alerts. "Enemy fire detected, impossible velocity," shouted one. "Shields failing, multiple hull breaches, entire wings gone," cried another. Admiral Vacheron slammed his claws into the console. "Regroup! Regroup!" he roared. "Flank it from all sides." But Eternity did not wait. It vanished again, reappearing behind the second formation, energy lances fired from its side batteries. Cutting through ships like light through glass, whole fleets vanished in seconds. Each impact was clean, precise, surgical. No wasted fire. No chaos, only deadly calm within the chaos. The human ship spoke again. Its voice was colder now. "You ruled in our absence," it said. "You enslaved, you destroyed. You forgot. But humanity remembers everything." Vacheron's officers began to panic. "Admiral, it's not just a ship, it's learning. Adapting to our attacks." "Then overload everything," Vacheron shouted. "If we die fighting." He ordered the flagship's superweapon, a gravitational imploder activated. A sphere of collapsing light formed before the obsidian fang, dragging nearby ships into its pull. For a moment, it seemed as though they might finally strike back. But Eternity moved again. It fired one precise shot, a single blue beam that pierced the imploder's core. The explosion that followed was beyond comprehension. A silent wave of pure energy rippled through the armada. Hundreds of ships disintegrated instantly, their light fading like dying stars. When the void finally cleared, only a handful of vessels remained. Their systems crippled, their crews paralyzed by fear. The human ship hovered in the debris field, silent and unmoving. Then it transmitted one final message, broadcast to every corner of the galaxy. "This was your warning," it said. "You came with fleets and arrogance. Now you know what remains of humanity's wrath." And with that, Eternity vanished into hyperspace, leaving behind nothing but ruin and silence. In the Galactic Council chamber, chaos erupted. Every empire screamed blame. Every leader demanded vengeance, but beneath all the noise, a single truth had been written into the stars. The humans were not extinct. Their legacy still lived. And the galaxy's age of dominance was over, far away. In a forgotten sector near Sol's coordinates, sensors on ancient human outposts began to flicker awake, and a faint signal traveled across the stars. It carried a single voice, the same voice from Eternity. Phase 1 complete, reawakening sequence. Initiated, the galaxy trembled again, not from war, but from what was coming next. The return signal. The galaxy was still burning when the signal began to spread. Fragments of shattered fleets drifted through the Epsilon grave system. Silent and lifeless, the stars themselves seemed dimmer, as if mourning the fall of the Armada. But amid that graveyard of twisted hulls, one pulse echoed through the dark. A single repeating tone, steady, rhythmic, ancient. Every communication array within 5 sectors caught it. And though it carried no words, every species who heard it felt the same thing, dread. The HSS Eternity had vanished. No one knew where it went. But its final transmission refused to die. The pulse continued to travel, faster than light leaping from relay to relay. It spread through forgotten systems, buried archives and derelict human colonies. Each one stirred as if awakening from a deep sleep. Deep within the ruins of Mars, buried beneath layers of dust, an ancient console flickered to life. A red hologram blinked, showing a logo long erased from galactic memory. United Human Defense Network rebooting. The systems of old Earth's colonies began to respond one by one. Silent AI cores that had watched over humanity's lost frontier now stirred again. Their programming was old but precise, waiting for a signal that had finally arrived. In the shadow of Jupiter, a hidden base opened for the first time in centuries. Dozens of human drones rose from the ice-covered moon, scanning the stars for the returning fleet. Each transmitted the same coded phrase, signal confirmed. Humanity's legacy active, Across the galaxy, panic spread faster than logic. The surviving admirals of the Council's fleet tried to report back, but their signals were scrambled, jammed by invisible interference. Entire communication grids began to fail, replaced by that same heartbeat pulse. The Council's intelligence networks traced the source, not to one system, but to hundreds everywhere humanity had once touched. Something was awakening. On the moon world of Kale 9, alien miners unearthed a massive black tower. At first, they believed it was an artifact of an extinct civilization, but when they tried to approach, the structure emitted a blinding flash of light. Within seconds, the entire mining colony lost power. Then a message appeared in every system. Observation Post Theta, reactivated, awaiting fleet command. In the deep cold of interstellar space, a ship unlike any other drifted into view. It was smaller than eternity, but sleek, sharp, and alive with blue energy. Its hull bore the same ancient emblem, a silver laurel encircling a blue earth. It was not built recently. It was reborn inside a dormant AI stirred, receiving the same pulse that awakened eternity. Signal recognized, it said softly. Command hierarchy confirmed. Designate unit HSS Vanguard mission locate Sol. Assist in restoration of network. The engines ignited with thunderous power and the ship vanished into the dark. Meanwhile, in the Galactic Council chamber, chaos reigned, emergency meetings failed, old alliances fractured, and entire species accused each other of hiding humans. Admiral Vasharan's death had become a symbol of their failure. The once mighty empires now operated in fear, not command. Reports poured in from across the stars, strange lights over dead systems, ghost ships appearing near ancient Terran colonies, whole fleets vanishing without distress signals. Everywhere the humans once stood, the past was awakening. The Empress of the Vexari watched the chaos unfold in silence. She stood on her balcony, staring into the cold expanse of space. Her aide approached, trembling. Your Majesty, what should we do? She did not answer immediately. Her eyes reflected the stars, but her mind saw something else, a memory. Long ago, her ancestors had fought the Terrans, and in their final moments, a human commander had said something she never forgot. You can destroy our bodies, but not our will. Now she whispered those words again. Quietly, fearfully, they warned us this day would come. Back in the void, eternity reappeared, emerging from hyperspace above a blue-green world. It was not Earth, but a colony once known as Haven Prime, one of the first Terran outposts beyond Sol. The planet was dead, scorched by ancient wars. Its cities reduced to ash, but deep underground, sensors detected faint power signatures. The AI Sentinel-9 activated its ground drones, sending them below the surface. Massive doors opened in the dust, revealing structures untouched by time. Hundreds of stasis pods glowed faintly in the darkness, each one marked with the Terran flag. Eternity's voice echoed softly. Human genetic preservation confirmed. Restoration protocol commencing. For the first time in 1,000 years, human hearts began to beat again. The pods opened slowly, releasing cold mist into the underground chamber. Figures emerged, weak, disoriented, but alive. Their eyes blinked under the harsh light, staring at the symbol carved on the walls above them, a circle of stars around a single blue planet. Earth outside eternity hovered above the ruined world. Its systems pulsed brighter, and a long-range transmission began to form. The message carried through the stars, reaching every awakened Terran outpost. This is eternity, the voice declared. Humanity has returned. Across the galaxy, the pulse changed. The steady rhythm evolved into a clear, powerful signal that resonated through every frequency. It was the sound of unity, of awakening, of vengeance. It carried with it an emotion no alien could truly understand, hope. And as the message spread to the farthest corners of the galaxy, the stars themselves seemed to shiver. The empires that once ruled now realized the truth too late. They were not watching the rebirth of an extinct race. They were witnessing the return of their reckoning. The fall of empires. The galaxy had not known war like this in 10,000 years. But now fire once again crossed the void. It began quietly, with sudden disappearances. Silent systems, fleets that never returned. The empires blamed each other at first. The Vexari accused the Dravani. The Karth Dominion blamed the Zathar Collective. But when the first recordings leaked, all blame turned to one ancient name, humanity. The footage spread faster than light, grainy, chaotic, captured by terrified pilots before their ships disintegrated. A black warship appearing out of nothing, tearing through armadas with weapons older than civilization itself. Railgun slugs glowing like newborn suns, slicing dreadnoughts apart as if they were made of paper. No warning, no demand, only precise annihilation. Each attack followed a pattern. Every empire's capital worlds, every planet that once enslaved humanity. One by one, they burned. The Galactic Council tried to fight back, but their unity had shattered. Each empire withdrew its fleets to protect its own borders. Worlds that once stood proudly under alien flags were now filled with panic. Old propaganda was rewritten overnight. Now the humans were not extinct monsters, they were returning ghosts, and every ghost carried the weight of vengeance. On the bridge of HSS Eternity, the AI Sentinel-9 observed the galaxy-wide collapse. Dozens of allied Terran ships now followed its command. Vanguard, Aegis, Prometheus, Helios, and more. Each one reborn from hidden human vaults across the stars. Each one armed with weapons beyond anything the galaxy understood. The AI calculated loss probabilities for enemy factions. Dominion fleet strength reduced by 73%, it noted. Vexari core worlds destabilized. Surrender signals detected, but then it paused. Human status, incomplete biological reactivation at 0.7%. Down below on Haven Prime, the newly awakened humans struggled to breathe the cold air. They were weak but alive, and when they looked to the sky, they saw the black ship hovering above them like a guardian angel. The first among them, Commander Elias Ward, stared at the old Terran flag waving on the ship's hull. He placed his hand over his chest and whispered, "We came back." The ship's AI recognized the gesture. "Commander authority verified," Sentinel-9 said. "Command transfer initiated. Human oversight restored." Across the galaxy, that single action changed everything. For the first time since the ancient wars, humanity had leadership again. Elias Ward's voice echoed through every human channel, his words clear and unwavering. "This galaxy belongs to none," he said. "For too long they ruled our silence, they built their thrones upon our graves. Now, we reclaim what was ours, not for revenge, but for balance." The humans' message spread through every network the aliens still controlled. And though it carried no threat, every empire heard doom within it. In the Karth Dominion's capital, alarms wailed. Massive defense fleets formed above the city world. Thousands of alien fighters swarmed to protect their sky. But the heavens darkened as human ships arrived. They didn't emerge from hyperspace, they fell from it. Like meteors raining fire, precise and beautiful. Their formation cut through the enemy's defenses before the first orders could be given. The Karth fleets broke instantly, their dreadnoughts crushed by kinetic bombardment. Cities turned to molten glass in seconds, and when it was over, only silence remained. On another world, the Dravani Queen watched her palace burn from orbit. The reflection of her own destruction glowed in her silver eyes. "They were supposed to be gone," she whispered. Her advisor trembled beside her. "My queen, they never died." She nodded slowly, almost reverently. "No," she said. "They waited. In the void beyond the galactic rim, the Vexari Armada prepared one last defense. Their grand fortress, an artificial sun, burned bright with the energy of 1,000 reactors. Every weapon pointed toward the darkness beyond, and from that darkness the humans came. Dozens of Terran warships formed an eclipse around the fortress. The lead vessel, HSS Eternity, transmitted one final message. "You ruled with fear," it said. "Now learn what true fear is." The fortress fired first, unleashing energy equal to a dying star. But the human fleet did not flinch. Their shields absorbed the storm. Their railguns sang in reply. Each shot tore through armor thicker than mountains. Within minutes, the fortress cracked open like a burning pearl. The light of its destruction illuminated half the sector, and when the glow faded, nothing remained but drifting ash and the quiet hum of human engines. News of the destruction reached the last surviving council worlds. Empires began surrendering not to humanity but to inevitability. Every ruler who once mocked the name of Terran now spoke it with trembling respect. They realized the galaxy was not ending, it was resetting. The balance that once favored them now belonged to the ghosts they tried to erase. On Haven Prime, Commander Ward stood beneath the rising sun. Beside him stood the first of the reborn humans gazing at the horizon. He looked up at the sky where eternity floated silently. "Begin the transmission," he said. The ship obeyed, and across the galaxy, a new signal replaced the sound of fear. "This is the Terran Restoration Fleet," Ward declared. "Humanity has returned to the stars not as conquerors, but as guardians. Those who seek peace will find allies. Those who seek domination will find extinction." The galaxy fell silent once more. But it was a different kind of silence, the silence of awe, of balance restored. The empires that once ruled now bowed their heads, because they finally understood what the old stories meant when they spoke of humans. They were not the rulers of worlds. They were the will of the stars themselves. And as the light of 1,000 human ships burned across the sky, the galaxy knew that its age of arrogance was over. The age of humanity had begun again. The new dawn, the fires of war had faded into glowing dust. The screams of empires had quieted into whispers carried by solar winds. And for the first time in 1,000 years, the galaxy was still. From the ruins of alien thrones to the floating remains of shattered fleets, silence reigned. But in that silence, something new was being born. A dawn that carried the sound of hope and the heartbeat of humanity. Above the world of Haven Prime, the HSS Eternity floated like a monument. Its dark hull reflected the light of a rising sun, a symbol that the long night was over inside. The corridors that once echoed with machine hums now resonated with human footsteps again. Technicians, officers, and scientists moved through the ship's decks with purpose and wonder. The ancient AI, Sentinel-9, now spoke with warmth in its tone. "Human crew status active," it announced. "Command presence restored." "Mission redefined." Commander Elias Ward stood on the bridge, watching the stars through the panoramic glass around him. The crew, the first humans to awaken in centuries, operated consoles that had waited for their touch. He could feel the weight of history pressing on his shoulders. They had fought through extinction, survived myth, and now stood at the edge of a new beginning. "Report," he said calmly. His communications officer replied, "All human outposts have responded to the recall signal." "Sir?" "Fleet count is now at 312 confirmed vessels. More awakening daily." Ward nodded slowly. "Then it begins," he whispered, "the rebuilding across the galaxy. Human fleets traveled not as conquerors, but as restorers. They entered ruined systems, repairing broken colonies, reviving long-dead worlds on the moons of Kepler. Engineers reactivated solar forges that once powered the Terran expansion. On the ring of Cygnus 4, children laughed for the first time in centuries under human skies. Everywhere the humans went, they rebuilt. Not just technology, but hope, and the galaxy watched in awe, because humanity's power was not just destruction. It was creation, rebirth, renewal. The alien empires, once mighty and proud, now sent envoys under white flags. The Vexari Empress arrived personally aboard her crystalline vessel, her crown dimmed in humility. She stepped onto Eternity's bridge and bowed low before Commander Ward. "In the name of the Vexari Dominion," she said softly, "I ask for peace. Not from fear, but from understanding." Ward studied her carefully. He remembered the stories of her kind, the same empire that once glassed Earth's colonies. But this moment was not about vengeance. He extended his hand. "Then peace you shall have," he said. "But this time it will be built on truth, not fear." She nodded, her eyes reflecting both sorrow and respect. One by one, the other empires followed. Treaties were signed, systems liberated, and laws rewritten. The Galactic Council, once a symbol of arrogance, was reborn as the Alliance of Light. And at its center sat humanity, not as rulers, but as guardians. The new flag of the galaxy bore the image of Earth surrounded by 12 stars, each star representing a species united under peace. The motto engraved beneath it was simple: from the ashes, unity, far beyond Haven Prime in the Sol system, Earth slowly awakened from her slumber. The old planet, once broken and forgotten, now glimmered with rebuilding cities. Ocean domes rose from the waves. Forests were reborn through nanotech restoration. Above it all, orbital stations rebuilt from human designs served as the heart of the new civilization. The first human children born after the reawakening played under the same sun their ancestors once feared lost, and their laughter carried through the air like the sound of victory. Admiral Rebecca Stone's holographic recording still played in Eternity's memory banks. Her final words, spoken before humanity's disappearance, had once been a farewell. Now they felt like prophecy. "If humanity falls," she had said, Let it rise again, wiser, kinder, stronger. And unafraid, Sentinel-9 played the recording one last time, then quietly archived it with honor. Directive complete, it said softly. The legacy endures. As decades passed, the stars began to shine brighter under human guidance. New ships carried names that told the story of their journey. Unity, redemption, horizon, no longer weapons, but vessels of exploration, trade, and hope. The scars of the past remained, but they were no longer wounds, they were lessons. Every planet liberated by the Terrans remembered what they once were and what they could become again. And yet, in the heart of the galaxy, where black holes swallowed light, a beacon pulsed still. A signal sent not of warning, but of watchfulness. A reminder to all species that peace was precious, fragile, and must be protected. The message carried through the void. The same ancient phrase repeated once more: humanity endures. Commander Ward stood on the bridge of eternity. Older now, hair streaked with gray, he looked upon the stars, seeing the unity his people had rebuilt. Beside him stood the descendants of humans and aliens alike, working side by side. Admiral Stone would have been proud, said his aide quietly. Ward smiled faintly. She would have said the same thing humanity always said. He replied, "Never count us out." Outside, the fleet sailed through the stars, not as ghosts of war, but as shepherds of light. And across the vast canvas of the universe, the dawn spread bright, endless, and human. Because though the galaxy once ruled over mankind, it was humanity that taught the stars how to hope again.